Man, nobody better to talk to about the ascension of Cooper Flagg than his former AAU coach, Andy Bedard. Andy, thank you so much for hopping on with us this morning.
Oh, my pleasure. Good being here with you guys.
Of course, and I don't got to tell you, like, how big of a basketball state Maine is. So when you see the enthusiasm coming out of that state, it makes total sense. But take me back to the first time that you saw Cooper on the basketball court, and what were some of the words that popped into your mind when you first saw him doing his thing?
Well, I haven't seen him play. I didn't know what he looked like. I was meeting his mom at a game to kind of check him out, see who he was, say hello to him. And as soon as I walked into the gym, I instantly knew who he was by the way that he walked, he moved, with his size, his feel, the way that he was passing the ball in the layup line. And I think he was a third or fourth grader playing against sixth graders at the time. So just the way he moved and played, and watch him dominate the game at that level, at that age, was impressive. And it was impressive because he could have scored every time he touched it. And just his ability to get other players involved and be a great teammate and be a great leader and pick the players up that were obviously at a lesser level than him was just impressive to me. So it was pretty evident from the first moment we saw him that he was going to be special for sure.
And you mentioned some of those moments that you observed just by watching him in layup lines, but as you got to know him a little bit, I feel like everybody I've talked to around the program and talking to him, like, it's some of those intangibles, work ethic, team guy. When did you start to see those type of things and start to help cultivate those type of things in a young star?
Almost instantly, because he was doing it at that fourth grade level. Then we kind of started Maine United, and he brought that to the table. And what was great, it just became contagious. So when you have your best player, obviously from a skill standpoint, doing all of those things, it makes it really easy for a coach to demand that from everybody else. So he's just his personality and the way that he plays is contagious, and you can kind of see that how Duke is progressing and the ball is moving. So he's done that on every team at every level, and it's just a really mature thing and way to play, almost like a seasoned vet that just wants to win a championship. He's kind of always played that way since I've known him, and it's certainly been a pleasure and makes it easy on a coach developing kids and trying to bring a program to the next level. And obviously he was a major part of it.
Coach, obviously by the time America gets to see a player like Cooper, they think he's just always been this good. What is an area of his game that you've seen him really improve on that you're proud of him for? And just how much of a leap did he take in whatever that thing is?
Yeah, I think his shooting for one at an earlier age, but I think that's true with a lot of young players, trying to grow and develop as they're getting stronger and getting taller. The basket, height kind of changes in their perspective. So I think he's become a really consistent shooter, as we're seeing over the past 7-8 games, and he's worked on that and put the time in. His mechanics are good. It was just a matter of time for the ball to start falling. He's really improved his ball handling. He's getting lower, getting to the basket, trying to limit his turnovers, going to the middle. So just overall continuing to develop his guard play, because I really see him with the ball a lot more just because of his ability to kind of facilitate an offense and lead his team, whether it's through passing or shooting. And, we feel he's an unbelievable passer. So it's easier when your handle's tight to kind of get in angles to make positions, and then making those passes at 6'9" certainly helps him deliver the ball to shooters on time in the pocket. So it's a special thing. And, all those things that he's worked on, it didn't just happen. He's the first one in the gym, last one to leave, as you can imagine. You've heard all the stories.
Coach, he's under a microscope at Duke. That's why part of the reason you go to Duke. Now, he's had a great season. They've had a good season. But in their 2 losses, there are questions about having freshmen lead you in late game situations and learning through some of those failures. How, if at all, do you still communicate with him? How have you maybe tried to help him kind of handle this process as he has becoming a national star?
Just keeping him positive and upbeat. I mean, there's, some of us inside the circle thought maybe he could be one of the most improved players throughout the season, because he hasn't seen that level of 5 men on the floor, mostly older than him. And then on top of it, he's playing against really good coaches that game plan and scheme for him. So he really had to adapt to it and adjust to it. So we knew there were going to be some growing pains. I think you can kind of see the progress he's making and learning from those mistakes. As Coach Shire had said early on in the season, like, you don't have to tell Cooper twice. Like, when you're about to tell him something, like, he knows it. He's a very, very smart, mature player. And sometimes going through those lessons is really the only way. You can tell them what's about to happen, but until you experience it and you see what that feels like, you kind of learn really quick. And I think we've seen that, and I think we'll see him continue to improve as this goes. I know he had the monster game the other day, but just from an efficiency standpoint, because he's such a high IQ player, wants to win, and he's kind of gone through that. He's heard the negative comments through a couple of bad possessions that he's had in the Duke game, I mean the Kansas and Kentucky game. But I'm in his ear not that much. John has the reins. He's an incredible mentoring coach, and more so just from a remind him who he is standpoint and how he plays and what he means to this state, and to stay positive. And the highs aren't too high, the lows aren't too low, as we talked about it. And he's sitting in a great spot, and he's got the entire state of Maine behind him, rooting for him. And he needs to remember, what he's done for everybody on top of what he's done for himself. So, it's pretty special for all of us.
Coach, obviously Cooper has a very special future ahead of him, many, many years of basketball. You were one of the people that obviously got to see him before most other people. Is there a Cooper Flagg story that you will always tell as obviously his career progresses and progresses and progresses, but one that you're always going to be happy to pull out?
There's so many of them because he's saved us so many times. I would say a real quick Cooper Flagg story, which his mom Kelly's our assistant coach at Maine United, and we were playing in a Made Hoops tournament in DC, and it was like day 3. And back then, you're playing 2 or 3 games a day, and it's a lot. And if you've watched Maine United play, we have a pretty short bench. We kind of ride him as hard as we can. So he had like 103-degree fever going into the next day. And that night, we're kind of like, what are we doing? We're playing some team out of DC, and this is kind of new for Maine United on this stage. And I remember him celebrating in the middle of the night because he broke his fever, and he was sweating through everything, and everybody was excited. And then, he felt better the next morning, but obviously, your body's going through a lot. And he showed up the next day. We played this team that brought in about 2 or 3 players from 2 age groups older just to try to beat us. And, Kelly and I looked at each other and said, we might be able to get this one with Coop, but we're going to have a trouble in the next game. And I think he did one of his Cooper things where he probably had a quadruple double with 40 points on, 16 for 18 from the floor. And we should have just let him coach that game as well, because he was going to will us to win. So just the effort that he puts on behalf of his teammates and his circle is always impressed us. And there's many stories like that, and he's willed us to win games where we're sitting on the bench being like, how do we do this? And he just figures it out and does it, and we're all seeing it nationally now. But we've seen instances of this, for the last 10 years. So it's been pretty special. And then to kind of share this with the world, and as they're seeing this happen for such a young college player is so exciting for all of us.
Yeah, that's what separates the Cooper Flaggs from me, because if I stub my toe, I don't get out of bed. So never
It's
mind
his
the
flu
fever.
game. He got a flu game.
He already got a flu game. No, that's great. Andy, we'll get you out of here on this. I know you spent some time at Boston College, Duke, up in Chestnut Hill, playing at 8 Eastern time on ESPN. How are you going to take in that game? I mean, you got rooting interest on both sides?
I do, but it's been a while since I've been back to Coney Forum. Obviously, I'm heading there tonight with half the state of Maine and a lot of friends. So clearly, I'm besides his close family, I'm the biggest Cooper Flagg fan that there is. So I will be having my Duke shirt on for sure.
Very good, Andy. Enjoy the game. We appreciate you coming on with us.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.